You know, we could have stayed outside. We could have stayed outside, Zeus. It's just football. Lord have mercy. A little rain and we got to come inside every time. A little hot outside, we got to come inside every time. Man, we're going to start being soft as bread pudding. I'm telling you, man. Football's supposed to hurt. Training camp's supposed to hurt. So when the season get here, it's easy. If we get used to this now, it's irrelevant.
What's up, guys? Joe C, the Pro Elite Experience. Make sure you smack that like button, comment, subscribe, do the whole 9 yards, you know. But anyway, I got a little bit of a press conference here from Jason Garrett, and it kind of made me excited. You know, teams out there, training camp has started. My videos are going to start popping one after another after another. I'm going to hit you guys with everything that I can find. Okay, it hasn't been much lately. I mean, obviously because there's not much put out there. You know, if I'm not doing that, then you can't really put up any information. Earl Thomas thing's still going. Obviously, Jason Garrett kind of avoided it a little bit, which kind of made me kind of hopeful. But on another note, a lot of people are underrating us, and I like that as well. You know, they don't see the talent we still have. You know, we did lose Dad, we lost Wood, a slew of other people, Standard, Hitchens, Keith Smith, we lost a lot of people. Tough Swift, but yeah, we lost quite a few guys, but we gained quite a few guys, you know, Kearns and Austin, and all of our draft picks. We got, what is his name? Anyway, we got a couple new running backs, linebacker, we got Ember Switzer, we got him from the Raiders, he's pretty good. Van Der Esch, I'm looking for him to show up and show out, as Garrett will explain. But I'll let him do all the talking when it comes to all that. But I know you guys miss me. I know you guys can't wait for the surprise and watch Mark Holmes' countdown, because that will be the first day that you get to see the surprise for the season. So make sure you guys stay tuned in. Don't miss video. Make sure hit the bell. Get everything where you can get all the content I'm putting out. Make sure you hit the bell on Law, Mark Holmes, Foots, Bosch, Okoye. If I forgot anybody else, you know, Joe, this Cowboys blog, Cowboys 1980. He's really good. He's got a few people to sell. So, Space Cowboy 17. I can believe that's going to change real soon, because I'm pretty sure 17 today. But anyway, long story short, guys, great video. Got plenty of content coming up, and make sure y'all represent. You know, because that 2-1, you're going to take it. Anyway, that's all I got for you. I'm out. Peace.
How we doing, guys?
Have you been able to get a medical update yet on Kayvon Frazier and what he's looking at?
Still in the process of doing that. We put him on NFI to start camp. He's going to continue to get some tests done today, and hopefully it'll get resolved during the next couple of days.
Can he stay here for the test?
Yeah, he'll be here. He just can't go out on the practice field, but he's been in meetings and taking part in everything.
You go through the off-season, Jason, you're looking at guys, you're scouting combines, all the other stuff, and then you finally get an opportunity this afternoon to see him in pads on the field. And kind of speaking directly to Van Der Esch, your number 1 pick, obviously. How excited do you get to watch these kids after you've seen them, you scout? You think you know about the guys, and they're going to kind of declare themselves starting today.
Yeah, I know you missed yesterday, Faye, and so this afternoon and tomorrow will be practices where we won't be in pads. We'll just be in helmets and jerseys. We won't actually work against each other. We'll start that on Saturday. But the essence of the question is a good one. It's nice to see them out here And, really all of them. You mentioned Van Der Esch, but all the guys we drafted, the guys we signed, the new guys from other teams, that's one of the most exciting things about this. You feel like you get a little taste of what they're about in the spring, in OTAs and minicamp, but you said it, when you get into training camp, that's when we really start playing. And, what we're excited about is how hard everybody's worked, and the conditioning run went really well yesterday. Guys that are in shape, ready to go. So the veteran guys who have been around have set the tone for everybody. I think the young guys and the new guys understand what we're all about, and we're excited to see them in action.
Follow up on Babe's fine question. A lot of guys look the part out here, but does Van Der Esch look the part of a middle linebacker when he's out there running around about as much as anybody?
It's interesting. There are different profiles for different positions, and typically the linebackers in this scheme have been smaller guys, leaner guys who can really run. The guy who stands out as the exception is a guy who was an incredible player in the system for a long time, Brian Urlacher. And I'm not comparing Leighton Van Der Esch to Brian Urlacher, but that is the body type that he is. A very athletic guy, and that's what we like about him. In college, he made so many plays sideline to sideline, plays with a great spirit, a relentless nature. And, what we saw in the spring was a lot of what we thought we were going to see after watching him on tape. So excited to see more.
We got a chance to talk to Cole Beasley. He's really excited about the receiving corps. How excited are you about the corps?
Yeah, we like our guys. Bees obviously has been a really good player for us for a number of years. Terrence Williams will be back and healthy. He's working his way back from the foot injury, but he did a good job in the run yesterday. Noah Brown's been with us for a year, so we have some guys that have been here and know what we want to do. And then we have an influx of other guys, some veterans from other teams, and some young guys who we've added. So, I think it's a good group. I think it's a hungry group. They're receptive to coaching. And, again, they had a good spring, and we're excited to see them in action.
Was in the work. Will we take part in practice this afternoon?
Terrence will be limited starting. That'll look different to us each and every day. Sometimes just warming up, sometimes doing individual, and sometimes doing more than that. So, the early part of training camp with him coming back off that foot, we just want to be deliberate and mindful. But he's done everything we've asked him to do up to this point, and he's off to a good start.
What does Sanjay Law bring to that wide receivers group?
What do you expect from him this year?
Rico? Yeah, really just need Rico to continue to progress. And you guys all know the story. He hadn't played football since he was in junior high. And, that's a huge transition, to say the least. And he has a lot of unique athletic ability. He's got a great body, great athleticism, can really catch the football, but he's still learning the game. And it hurt him last year to miss as much time as he did. He was having a really good training camp. He started to show up. And the thing that we like most about him is when he made some mistakes in the games and we corrected him, he got better at those things. So that was a positive thing. But missing that time hurt him. He's had a good spring. Excited to see him back out there. I think he'll continue to grow.
When you think back 2 years ago and where Dak was in the pecking order and fast forward to now, what goes through your mind?
Well, it's a really, really hard position to transition into, playing quarterback in the National Football League. And there have been a lot of great players, Hall of Fame type players, who, if you look back at their first couple of years in the league, you'd say, boy, he's not on the path to wearing a gold jacket. So it's not easy. It's not easy. And I think he's just done a remarkably good job transitioning and doing what we're asking him to do. I think, his record, he's 22-11 as a starter in his first 2 years in the NFL. That's pretty good. His statistics, I think, are all good. But I think the thing that stands out most to us is what we saw right from the outset. Just his leadership, his ability to take charge, and the approach that he takes each and every day. The example he sets for everybody, getting better at all his skills, all the techniques that he needs to do to play his position better, and then helping guys along as well. And not only just offensive guys on the other side of the ball and guys in the kicking game. So he's got some great interpersonal qualities, some great leadership traits that we've seen right from the start. Those will continue to grow, and they'll continue to grow in every way as a player.
What stood out about Sanjay Law when you brought him here to Dallas to work with this young group?
So many positive things. I've known Sanjay from afar for a long time, and his reputation was one as someone who's very cerebral. He's a very good technician in coaching the receivers. But maybe more than anything else, everybody you talk to say, I don't know anybody who loves football more than Sanjay Lal. And I think you see that in his approach as a coach and as a teacher. He's very detail-oriented. I think the players really appreciate just the engagement that he gives them on all different levels as a teacher and as a coach. And that was his reputation from people who have been around him, and that's certainly what he's been since he's been with us.
Jason, do you see Tavon as a guy who can line up regularly on the outside as a receiver?
Yeah, I think Tavon really has so many skills that allow him to line up in a lot of different places on the field. Obviously, when you think about him, first and foremost, you think about his quickness, his speed, his athleticism. He's not the biggest guy, but there have been other guys who have been about his size who have that kind of a speed, who've been able to function well outside. But he's also demonstrated he can play inside in the slot, and you can hand him the ball from the backfield. So, his versatility is something that really struck us as he was coming out of school. Obviously, a really high pick. Has had some productive years at different times. We're just excited about the opportunity to bring him here.
The unique thing about what you're trying to do with this receiving corps this year, I saw Tavon and Beasley on the field together, and they were outside, and Allen Hurns in the slot. So you can play these guys in different positions. That makes you more unpredictable.
Yeah, we're just starting. To Babe's question, we haven't even had a practice yet. We're not going to go against each other here the first couple days, but we did have that work in the spring. And so you try different things in all three phases of your team through those 12 practices, and you try to see how your personnel is going to fit. So that will evolve over the course of training camp. But we have an installation schedule that we'll stick with, and you have to watch, and you say, boy, I like that. Let's do more of that, or boy, that's not going to be real good. And that's what you do really throughout your team. So we're excited about the mix of guys we have, the talents they can bring. We're going to try to find the best blend of all of them to try to be as effective as we can offensively.
Receivers, they can play multiple positions.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that we're excited about at the outset.
What observed about Allen Hurns that's impressed you?
Just a real pro. And that was his reputation, really coming out of school. And then, from his experience down in Jacksonville, everybody we know down there who was around him on a daily basis just thought he was off the charts as a kid and off the charts as a pro. And that's what we've seen right from the start. He, too, loves ball. You can see it in how he approaches it every day, every aspect of it. And he just goes to work. And for me, it's fantastic to be able to bring a guy like that in from another team, a veteran, who kind of fits into the culture that we want to establish here. And he's one of those guys that young guys are looking to right now, setting an example.
Maybe you addressed this yesterday. Actually, I did listen. Cedric Wilson.
Tough to hear over those waves, when you're down there surfing.
Cedric Wilson and KD and Tavon and those guys, they bring real speed to the field. Is this maybe the fastest group coming in you've had at that position?
I don't know about that. I know we like their speed. We like their versatility. I think that's one of the things that we're excited about. Different receivers have different traits. Different receiving corps have different traits. You'd like to be able to, over the course of the group of guys, you have 5 or 6 guys. You'd like to think that you can do a lot of different things. We have guys in this group that have stature, that are big. We have guys who are fast, great route runners. So the mix of all of them, I think it allows you to attack the defense.
Talked about the receivers, and you got to replace Witten 65 to 70 catches that he gets. How much can Zeke do to mitigate some of that and be more involved in the passing game?
Oh, I think that's a big part of what we liked about him coming out of school. And, he too, like Dak, obviously his transition into this league has been pretty smooth. He's been a really productive player. But that's definitely something that we can continue to grow with. And, he's a very natural receiver just in the course of a pass concept. But he's also someone you can isolate. You can isolate him out of the backfield. You can isolate him, putting him on the line of scrimmage and maybe an empty formation. We saw some of that in him coming out of school. We saw that in the workout that we had up at Ohio State before the draft. So that's definitely one of the talents that we want to continue to take advantage of.
Are you ever mindful of doing too much of that when he has such a burden as a running?
I think really that's probably been the guiding principle here the first couple of years. We've given him a lot of responsibility as a runner, as a protector. So you got to be careful about spreading him too thin when you have some other guys who can do some of those same kinds of things.
What's the challenge of adding so many new assistants on the offensive side of the ball?
I think it's exciting. To me, it's a little bit analogous to adding new players on your team every year. You have a system in place that you believe in, and then, guys can bring different things to it. But each and every day, we're teaching everybody how we want to do stuff, how we want to meet, how we want to walk through and practice, and ultimately how we play. And I think for me, it's stimulated communication in a really positive way. It's not like, hey, we have it all down. We have to go through these things, and we have to reinforce these things. And then the coaches reinforce it to the players, and I think that's a good thing for our team.
Jason, from what you've seen, is Jalen moving differently this offseason compared to where he was a year ago?
I think he's grown really over the course of his time back. His rehab was excellent. I do think that taking that brace off in the spring has helped him move better. He just seems more comfortable, seems more natural and more instinctive, changing direction. You have to be spontaneous when you play. You set things up, you have some different responsibilities, but ultimately once the play starts, you don't really know what's going to happen. And the best players are able to seamlessly go from one direction to another direction and do what they need to do to make a play. I think we saw a lot of that out of him in college, and I think we're seeing more and more of that now once he's taken that brace off.
What are the traits that Jalen's shown you that make you think he might be even an effective player?
Oh, he's quick, he's fast, he's explosive, he's physical. He has naturalness as an athlete. I think he has a nose for the ball. He has length. He has a lot of really good qualities. He's not a defensive end, put his hand on the ground. I mean, that's a whole different level. But, as a linebacker, putting him on the line of scrimmage, or as a linebacker coming through an A gap or a B gap, I think he's demonstrated that really throughout his career. And I think it goes to all the things you like about him as a player: his athleticism, his quickness, his speed, and his instincts.
This offseason, when you would watch him, and then were you thinking to yourself, okay, these are the moves I saw in college? Was that the first time you really started to see that you felt he was moving the same way that
I think he's getting close to that. And, all the medical people have told us that he'll continue to get better and better and better. There were some early hurdles that we were very mindful of and very conscious of that he had to get over, and he got over those things. And he's just continued to progress. And you'll have to ask him specifically how he feels. But to me, when I watch him, you see him getting more and more comfortable, getting his legs back up underneath him, really with every experience he has out there on the field.
Do you see him battling Van Der Esch for a job, or do you see it more possible to play them both at the same time?
I think it's a matter of getting them all out there. There's a ton of reps that we're going to have here in training camp. We just want to see those guys play. And then as you go, you start divvying up the responsibilities on defense. And, obviously Sean will be a huge part of that linebacker core, but we really see there's plenty of reps and plenty of opportunity for each of those guys. Now, they have to progress and they have to show us that they can do it, but we're certainly confident they can as we get going here.
Does Randy have to re-earn trust? Coaches, management, teammates?
Oh, that's a great question. I think we're all trying to earn trust each and every day with each other. That's a big part of building a team, right? So that's stuff that we had long conversations about yesterday on day one. That's a roadmap for all of us. And, the level of that, the level of trust that you have for each other is ultimately what separates the championship teams from the rest. And so, Randy does certainly, but we all do. And that's a big part of building this football team.
This Earl Thomas talk won't go away, and I'm not going to ask whether you want him or not, but I am curious, when you look back on that final game and he approached you about the Cowboys coming and getting him, what was that like for you as a head coach in that moment?
I really don't want to get into it. I don't think it's appropriate for me to talk about someone on another team. Obviously, he's been a great player for a long time.
You didn't think it was strange the way he came up to you at the end of the season?
It hadn't happened to me before, but to me, it's probably best that we don't talk about it.
Talking about getting guys out there, linebackers last year, you had some that really pretty much just played teams and some that didn't play teams. When you look at guys like March Lillard and Thomas and Covington, do you see roles for them in the defense?
Those are the questions that will reveal themselves to us as we go here. Certainly when you're a linebacker, we'll probably have 6, the most 7 of them on our team. And a big part of the evaluation is, can they play on the defensive side of the ball? Is there a role for them? Can they play a couple different spots? You know, you need to be versatile if you're a backup player, and then obviously you need to be someone who shows up on special teams. So that's a big part of the evaluation, being impact players in those areas. And we're confident about those guys. We like each of them, what they've done up to this point. It'll be fun to see how it all plays out.
I believe Dak stayed at the SAR after minicamp and threw to a bunch of the guys. They were in Orlando for a few days as well. How does that stuff help when you get out here for camp?
Oh, I think it's everything. It's everything. The time that players spend away from coaches by themselves ultimately is what makes the difference. And that was my experience as a player. You know, the time you spend in Valley Ranch when no one else is around with the receivers, getting your timing down, just working through it, not saying a lot to each other, just banging balls and getting your BP in. And, you know, that's just a critical part of the whole thing. That's what allows you to lay a foundation. And, you know, the reps that you have together where you get to the point where you're seeing things together and feeling things together, that's what separates the great passing games and the ones that are just average in this league. And so the time he's taken, you know, with those guys on his own, away from us, is just really, really positive. And it's really the stuff that will make the difference.
Did he tell you he was going to do that, or is that just a thing? I mean, guys have done this all along. Did he say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this? Or
yeah, I mean, to me, it's not that out of the ordinary for guys to do it, and certainly isn't out of the ordinary for him to do it. That's just his nature. It's been his nature since he's been a little kid playing quarterback. I mean, that's just what he's all about.
Scott Linehan said he wasn't sure if it was Dak Prescott or Sean Lee who spent most of their off time at the facility this off season. Not that it really matters, the answer to this question, but who would you say won that race?
It really doesn't matter. But I'll tell you what. We're excited that both those guys and many others did. And that's really been the mindset all along. And you've heard me say this, you know, the off-season program starts in the middle of April. We get 9 weeks with them. But, you know, we had a lot of guys in our building well before that. We can't coach them, we can't instruct them, but they're in there getting their work done. And to have those two guys, the leader of the offense and the leader of the defense, show everybody else the way, that's a really good thing for your football team.
Thanks, guys.
All right, good to see you guys.
You know, we could have stayed outside. We could have stayed outside, Zeus. It's just football. Lord have mercy. A little rain and we got to come inside every time. A little hot outside, we got to come inside every time. Man, we're going to start being soft as bread pudding. I'm telling you, man. Football's supposed to hurt. Training camp's supposed to hurt. So when the season get here, it's easy. If we get used to this now, it's irrelevant.